Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. My name is Rebecca from the marketing team, and today we're going to go over AutoCAD productivity with Jamie. But before we get started, we just have two really quick polls to send out. The first one you should see on your screen just to get a feeling of the area of discipline that you're in, whether it's architecture, interior design, or manufacturing, or MEP, or other. That'll kind of just help us see who we have here. Looks like majority so far is architecture and interior design, which is awesome. Give you guys a few more seconds just in case there's a delay on this. There we go. Okay, cool. We have a lot of architecture, interior design, some manufacturing, and a couple MEP folks in here. So I'll close that one and do the second and the last one. So how many years have you been using AutoCAD? 1 to 5, 5 to 10, or 10 plus? This will also help us with our future webinars for tips and tricks, just to put out tips and tricks out there that work for you and for your experience. So it looks like majority in here are 10 plus years. That's amazing. And I'll just leave a few more seconds there. I know sometimes there's a delay, so. Okay, awesome. I think we have everyone. Yeah, majority is 10 plus. A few are 5 to 10, maybe 1 or 2 in here, or a few more are 1 to 5 years. Okay, awesome. So I will close that and we'll go ahead and get started. So I will send this over to Jamie.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jamie Smith. Before I get started, I want to apologize. I have a little bit of a cold that I'm getting over, so I apologize if I sound kind of congested, but it should be no problem getting through all of this. So I'm going to be talking to you today about some AutoCAD productivity tips and tricks, and then some tools that we offer here at MicroCAD to help you work more efficiently and productively yourselves. So if you ever need to get in touch with me, my email address is right here, jsmith@microcad3d.com. So feel free to go ahead and reach out to me if you have any questions. So as far as the AutoCAD tips and tricks are concerned, I have a couple of points. I hope that these, a lot of you sound like you're so advanced, so I hope that these are useful to you. They might be kind of rudimentary for you guys at this point, but I think they're pretty cool. They're things I use on a regular basis. But first step that I'm going to be showing you is actually finding a midpoint along an object or a line segment that's not at your actual midpoint snap. So I'll show you the way that I get that. A big thing, which this is actually relatively new, is that you can create PWGs based off of PDFs, and you can actually do this 2 different ways. So I will show you both ways in which that you can do that. And then another command that I think gets passed over a lot is the divide command, which allows you to divide a line segment evenly without having to use any math or do anything crazy. So I like to show you guys that one as well. Hopefully, again, these are all new features that you didn't know existed. And then the last piece is our productivity tools that we offer as a company. I don't know if any of you are possibly using them at this time, or maybe you've been interested in using them, but they encompass all of these categories. And of course, we only have a half an hour, so I can't go through all of them, but these are the different categories that each of these tools fall into. And, again, just trying to help you be more productive and get things done faster. So I'm going to go ahead and pop over right into AutoCAD, and I'm using 2021. And I'm going to open up my first drawing here. So the first thing that I want to show you was the midpoint, finding like a middle point with an object. So let's say, for example, it's much easier for me to show this, but let's say I wanted to bring a task chair here and put it in between this point at the end on this line segment and then the midpoint. So there's nowhere that I can really click using a OSnap that's available to me to get this to happen. So what I would like to do is I'm going to grab my task chair block over here. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to grab a point on, actually I'll grab where it's kind of connected to the table here. And again, if I could just copy and paste it, but I do want to show you how this one works. So what you do here is you hold down the shift key and then right click on your mouse, and you're going to use this option here, the mid between 2 points. And the reason I like to show this is I feel like a lot of people don't really use the right-click menu option. I actually, for many years, had right-click set to be enter for me, so I didn't even really know that this existed. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and then I'll click the endpoint of the line, and then the midpoint of the line, and then it puts it perfectly in the center for me right there, which is super easy. I mean, I actually can't even think of a really easy way to do that without having to draw a construction line and then deleting it. And then I can do the next one here. So again, I'm just going to hold down Shift, right click, and then mid between 2 points. I'm going to grab the endpoint of the table here, and then the midpoint, and then it puts it right in the middle of those 2 points for me. So I use that one a lot for, especially for furniture arrangements and floor plans and stuff like that. So it comes in handy, but I can think of a multitude of reasons of how you could do this in other formats. So the next thing that I want to show you is importing a PDF. So I'm going to open up a new drawing. And I apologize, my AutoCAD's actually been going kind of slow today, so hopefully this opens up for me. Shoot. Sorry about this. I don't know why it does not want me to open a new drawing, apparently. Let's see. Sorry, I'll just give it a few more seconds here. I don't want to have to task manager it just yet and get it out of here. So one moment. Rebecca, do we have any questions while I'm waiting for this to open up?
No, we do not. But just one thing to point out, we do have a handout attached here, probably above or below your little question section. So feel free to download that. It's specifically for our tools. And if you have any questions as we're going along, feel free to throw them in here, and we can answer them at the end, or you can throw them in the chat as well.
Thank you. And I'm good now, finally. That was like really weird. I don't know why it took so long to open. Okay, so I'm going to come up here to the Insert tab, and I'm going to click this PDF import option. And again, this is a relatively new feature that's been added to AutoCAD. I'd say maybe 2019 or 2020 they introduced it. So as you can see, you can do a PDF, EGN, which is a, oh geez, I always forget what this one is. It's a pretty defunct program. I don't think many people use it anymore. And then just the plain old import, which I'll show you. I'll actually show you these two options here, the PDF and then the plain import. So I'm just going to click on PDF import. Oh no, I hope I don't have the same problem. I don't know, there's something with opening files today that it does not want me to do this. I may not be able to show you the other one if I can even get this one to work. So we'll see. I don't want to kill too much time here. Oh, here we go. All right, great. So I'm going to open up a PDF that I have on my desktop here. And I'm going to go ahead and click on open. And I get this dialog box that pops up, similar to if you were importing, you know, any other file type or any other image type in here. You usually get this screen that asks you a couple questions how you want it to be imported. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Everything looks good. You can see it's importing this and it's evaluating things and looking through and adding in as much detail as it can based on that original PDF. So everything does generally come in on the 0 layer, so you would have to put things back on layers. However, there are times where if the drawing was done correctly, that it will pick up on what layers were actually associated with it when it was created. So that's a big time saver. And then the import option actually works very similarly, but again, that would work best if you just had a PDF that you didn't know where it was created, or it didn't have layers associated to it. So the hope is when you insert the PDF option, you actually get some of those layers and some of that information along with it. So the next one on my list was showing you the divide command. And again, I hope this one is one that nobody uses just yet because it's pretty great. But so I'm just going to demonstrate this with just a straight line. I'm going to draw this across here. And let's say I wanted to divide this line into 5 equal segments. So what's great about this command is that I don't have to do the math and figure out, especially if I'm not 100% sure, what this was drawn at. It's a very random length, so it's not anything that I can very easily divide. So it's nice to have this command. So this one actually lives up here in the modify panel, but I like to just type in the command. So I'm going to type in divide. Oops, spell it right. It asks me to select the object that I want to divide, and then the number of segments. It's really simple. I just type in 5 and enter. And it looks like nothing happens, but that's a good thing. You actually get little nodes that show up on all of the segments that you may have divided. So the best way to see this is if I select the whole thing, then you can see all those nodes that pop up. So now I have 5 equal segments ready for me to use. And those points are now accessible. You do have to make sure that your node OSNAP is turned on. So I got to come down here to my OSNAP settings on my status bar, turn on node, and then I'm going to grab the line command just to grab onto one of these nodes, and then I can draw off of that if I need to. So those are the tips and tricks that I wanted to show with AutoCAD. Again, I hope that those were new and different for you, that you didn't know existed. And now I'm going to show you some of our tools that we offer at MicroCAD. So this is actually lives within your AutoCAD software. It's an add-in that you would just download if you were to purchase it from us. And I'm going to go through some of my favorite commands in here really quickly. The first one that I really like is the align tool. So I know there is an align tool in AutoCAD, but there's a lot more steps involved. This one's way more straightforward to me and just functions a lot better. So what I'm going to do is going to go ahead and click align up here. And what I have to do is select the object first that I want to align to something and some angle. So I'm going to go ahead and click that rectangle. And then it's asking me to pick my guideline. And I want to put it on this angle here that an arbitrary angle that I just drew. It's not anything specific. So I go ahead and click there. Then it asks me how I want to align it. So I can pick any one of these options. It's going to grab this rectangle based on this point. So I like to do the center lower portion of it. And then you can click on rotate objects. And it's nice, it gives you this preview the whole time as you're doing it. So it just makes things a lot visually more presented with the align tool. You kind of just have to hope that it does what you want it to do. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And then I've got my rectangle perfectly in line with that angle that I had drawn. And again, you don't have to worry about figuring out what that angle was or anything like that. Okay. And the next tool that I want to show you is our the legend tools. They're really, really great. So if you had a drawing with a ton of different objects, I like to use this small example because I don't want to make this huge legend. But if you had a drawing going with a bunch of different blocks and you wanted to create a quick legend with that, the old way would be that you would have to make a table, copy and paste your blocks, probably scale them because they're not going to fit necessarily in your table, or you have to organize it, and so it makes a lot more work for you. The nice thing about this this tool is once I click on block legend, it actually does a sweep of your whole drawing and finds all of the blocks that you have available in your drawing. So you can just very easily uncheck what you don't want. So I don't want this this one in here. It's an elevation label from something else. So I just want all of the blocks that are associated with this little object right here. So I can just go ahead and click OK. And now I have to pick a point of where I want this legend to go. I'm going to go ahead and click. And everything is scaled to fit in this table really, really nicely. I can come in here. This is an editable table if I need to change anything. And maybe I want to make this, the title of this more specific. I can actually scale up the whole legend if I needed to. So if I type in scale and then scale that up, so it actually keeps everything proportionate and keeps it really good in the or keeps it really neat in that legend table for you. So so that's the block legend. Again, that one's really great because I just remember the days of creating block legends like and having it take forever. So this just makes things a little bit easier for us. So the next one that I want to show you, there's 3 legend creators, but I'll just show you the 2 that I think are the most handy, the ones that I use the most. The hatch legend. So same as with the symbol legend, you can actually create a legend based off of all the hatches that you have in your drawing. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And again, it sweeps your drawing, figures out exactly what you have in your drawing already for hatches. And then I can just go ahead and click OK and plug it in there. Now, the caveat to this one, and why I like to show this, is you may notice that the scale of these hatches doesn't actually translate well to what's actually visible on your drawing. So what I really like to show is that the the hatch scales are actually editable prior to entering in your legend. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this one. I'm going to create it again. And then right here where it says scale, this is where I can adjust these. So probably should have paid better attention to which ones didn't look great. But if I go in here and make these all a little bit smaller, and if I think these 2 were okay. So now if I click OK and grab them in, yeah, now at least one of them looks better. The angle one looks a lot better. So the nice thing again about this too is that it's a table. So we can just go ahead, double click it if I wanted to actually say what this was, this was actually flooring, or something, more specific. So it makes a little bit more sense. And again, this is scalable as well. So I can scale that up larger, and then it scales the hatches appropriately, of course, based on what scale I had specified originally. So that's how that one works. The next one that I want to show you is one of these calculate tools up here. And I love this one because if you have, maybe you're working on a space and you have multiple square footages associated that you need to add up or figure out a very quick, equation of how those all calculate. You can do this super easy as long as all of these are singular text. So if there was, I think if there's text in them, I'm sorry, I should have said singular numbers. If there's text mixed in with it, I think it does get a little confused. But I'm pretty sure on most, in most situations, you would have it say something like, this is kind of funny, but 3 square feet or SF or something like that. And it should recognize the difference as long as there's a space between the 2. So if I wanted to figure out what the sum of all of these were, I could just click on sum of texts, click on all these numbers here, hit enter. And then when I click, it makes it a lot smaller, but it actually prints the sum of all of these. So it calculated correctly. There's 36 units there. So super easy again for square footages or anything like that you need to calculate really, really quickly. The next thing that I want to show you is some of I know these 2 sound pretty simple, but the copy to clipboard and open folder panels right here have a lot of functionality to them that I think is really great. So how many times do you get a floor plan from someone emailed to you, or even if you downloaded it from Dropbox or something, and you open it up, you get really excited to start working on it, and you completely forget to save it or forget where it ends up on your machine? Well, there's definitely times where you can, locate it again in your temporary folder and stuff like that, but sometimes it doesn't always work that great. It's not always that simple of where it actually goes. So what we can, I'm going to show you this one first right here. So if that happens to you ever, this BWG folder option is the best place to go. So you can go ahead and click on that. Mine are just in a folder here for this presentation, so they're not anywhere special, but it would bring you directly to where that file lives on your machine. And I just find that so convenient. And this is another great tool for XREFs. If you're not sure where an XREF is saved somewhere on your server or anything like that, it's always going to find exactly where it lives on your machine, or like I said, on a server. So super, super helpful tool. What the difference is between these 2 options here is this one actually copies the address of that folder location or file location to your clipboard, and then you can go ahead and paste that into your Windows Explorer. So if I go ahead and click on folder, and then I open up Windows Explorer, and I just come in here to the address bar, I'm doing Control V to paste it in, and enter, and then it brings me right to that spot again. And you can do that with the file as well. I won't demonstrate that because it's pretty straightforward, but you have the ability to do both. And then the next options here are My Documents and Desktop. And this just merely opens up the My Documents folder or the desktop. So the question I get about this a lot, which I always like to address, is whether or not we can change this to a different directory. And unfortunately, we cannot right now, but that request has been put into the co-developers that we're working on this with to see if there's any way that we can have this more customizable, because I think a lot of people would appreciate it. Maybe going to a template folder or somewhere where you're constantly referencing different file locations, or even to a folder that you have on your computer that has some spreadsheets in it or something that you have to reference. So that's something that's in the works, in case you were wondering, because like I said, I've gotten that question from a lot of people. So and I see that we have a couple of questions, and I know we want to talk about our next upcoming webinars as well. So Rebecca, do you want to go ahead and read those ones off while we have a few more minutes here?
Yeah, sure. So I'm actually seeing a question here that says, can you edit the scale after the table has been created?
No. Oh, good question. Oh, for the hatches. No, you cannot, unfortunately. So you would have to go back in. But I think once you created it and you saw that it didn't look great, you'd probably recognize that right away, as opposed to having to go back in and make any, if you'd already made changes possibly to the description or whatever, then you'd probably notice that right away that it would need to be changed. And one thing I should have said about the scales too, is they do correlate to the scale. Like, I'm sure everybody knows this and probably feels the same way. When you enter in a scale on your drawing, you never know exactly how it's going to look. It's kind of always hit or miss, because every hatch that's built in to AutoCAD has a different scale that makes it look better or worse. So the nice thing is this legend does correlate to that too. So you'd obviously want to make it a little bit smaller. Again, if your hatch was, scaled up really big, so that you could actually visually see it inside the little preview window. But hopefully that answers the question well enough.
Thank you. Not a question, but we do have a suggestion here. The PD mode and PD size work nice for nodes.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. All right. I haven't used that in so long. That brought me back. All right, great. Thank you.
Awesome. I don't see any other questions for now, but we can give everyone a minute or two to get those sent in. And maybe in the meantime, we can just show everyone a quick glimpse of what we have coming up.
Yeah, let me pull that up really
this
quick.
month in April. And just another reminder, we do have the handout for these tools attached here. It should be called AutoCAD Tools Brochure. That's a PDF you can go ahead and download. But while you guys are getting some of your questions in here, we do have next Friday for Autodesk Docs. If anyone has the AEC collection, Autodesk Docs is now included in that. You may have gotten an email saying your order's been processed. That just means you now have this free Autodesk Docs included in your AEC collection. So that's next Friday, same time as today, 1 o'clock. And we'll be going over all of that, everything Autodesk Docs. We do have other webinars pending for April, but right now we do have Enscape 3.0. That's actually a Revit plugin. So that is a new update with a new interface for Enscape, which is a real-time rendering plugin for Revit. That is April 16. So I'll just take a quick peek here if there's any other questions. If you don't have any now, feel free to send them in after. You can send them to myself or to Jamie by email.
I'll put that back up here, so if anyone needs it.
Yes, perfect. All right, we'll give you guys a few more seconds. If you think of anything, AutoCAD productivity related, or if there's any tips you guys might have to share, you can throw that in as well.
right, well, hopefully we'll get some emails from people if they have any questions. But thank you all so much for attending. We really appreciate it. And I hope that you find yourself interested in some of the other webinars we have to offer. Again, my name is Jamie Smith, and we're signing off for the day, but have a great weekend and stay well, everyone. Thank you.